This video is for your Greek class. It goes along with your Croy textbook, so if you wanted to grab that and follow along while I'm explaining this, because in this video I actually point you to some things in the textbook that you might want to look at further. This chapter deals with liquid verbs. They are distinct from, but have a similar idea as the contract verbs that you studied in chapter 21. In chapter 21, the contract verbs end with vowels. Liquid verbs are this. They are verbs whose stems end in one of these three letters, lambda, mu, nu, or rho. And here's how you're going to remember it. I promise you we'll do this thing in class with lemon juice that will help you to remember. So real lemon juice, R-L-M-N. Those are the four letters that you need to remember. When the stem ends with one of those letters and it runs into a sigma, so in the future or in the aorist, then there are some changes here because the sigma kind of dissolves into it but leaves behind some influence that causes a circumflex accent to occur. It means it's really hard to distinguish for these letters, for these stems, these verb stems that end in lambda, mu, nu, or rho. It's hard to distinguish between the present and the future. And what this chapter is trying to do is help you be able to recognize when you have a future verb for these special verbs. So here's what's happening. The future tense can't be distinguished from the present, except usually with a circumflex accent. And so you can see a bunch of these examples on the paragraph for 157. And I would encourage you to go look there. I'll show you this one, but then you could go to paragraph 157 to find more examples. Meno means I remain. And do you see how it has that accent over the epsilon up at the top? So liquid verbs, meno. But in the future, it looks like this. Meno, it looks exactly the same. Meno, menes, mene, menu, men, menete, menusi. And you're like, wait, what has happened here? Why is this the case? Because mostly it follows the luo, lues, lue, lu, amen. But something is definitely weird when you get to the umen. It's because there was a sigma there, and the sigma's now gone, and because the sigma's gone, other things are now combining that shouldn't be combining, and so you end up with the contracting of vowels, again, just like you had in contract verbs. But this is now in the future tense, so this means I will remain, you will remain, he, she, it will remain, and the only way that you can recognize it is with circumflex. So here they are, meno, menes, mene, menumen, menete, menusim. When I see a verb that has a circumflex accent, I pause. And I say to myself, is there any chance this is a contract verb? Does it end in a vowel? Is there any chance it ends in my real lemon stem? Rho, lambda, mu, nu. If so, and in this case it does, men, then I'm going to say, okay, is this a present or is it a future? That's what you're trying to decide here. Here's what it looks like then when you have the aorist, is you add an alpha because the sigma is once again dissolving into the real lemon stems. And so sometimes it looks like a stem change, other times there just are regular ones of this, and so these ones you just have to learn. This one has a stem change, meno, so you can definitely recognize that something has occurred. And usually when something weird occurs, I'm like, oh, it must be in the aorist. Even if I don't know for sure, I'm like, aorist is most likely. But that is a saw. But the sigma is now in with the real lemon, the nu. And so this is the aorist tense. And it would be like, I remained. You remained. He, she, it remained. We remained. Y'all remained. They remained. And that's what it looks like. It's going to take a minute to get used to this. There's only certain verbs that do it. It's the verbs that end, their stem ends in rho, lambda, mu, nu. Real lemon. I keep saying real lemon because I'll do something in class that helps you remember that. Here's the best news though. There's absolutely nothing unusual about translating these. You just have to recognize what tense you're in. That's the real trick here, is knowing when you're in the future and knowing when you're in the aorist because they look different. You're no longer having that indicator of either the sigma or the saw. And so instead you have to pay attention to the circumflex or to the weird changes that have occurred, and so you're just going to give yourself a pause whenever a verb stem ends in one of those letters to make sure that you know what tense you're in. That's the main thing in this chapter. It goes along really closely with chapter 21. It's just a slight variation of this that's now affecting the future, and it's affecting the aorist because both of those have a sigma as part of their infix. If you have any questions for me, you can email them to me. Otherwise, I'll take questions in class and we can talk about this more. Give it your best shot. And I think once you start doing this, it's gonna make sense to you because there's no special thing about translating them. It's just being able to recognize the future and the aorist of these real lemon, these liquid verbs. Okay, look forward to chatting with you about it further in the near future. Okay, thanks.